What's going on, guys? The Fibonacci here. I'm going to bring you a video to show you how to work the indicators that I've created. I believe we have three of them, or the main ones, and I'll go over how to add it to your chart and to the settings on it, and what I believe are the best settings for you. So first thing, how to get them on your chart. Come up to the indicators tab, go to your invite only scripts, and it should be the triple play. Click on it. You have to type agree here, and it's just basically a disclaimer saying I'm not responsible for you lose money, blah 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 blah. You know how that goes. So once it loads up here, you can go into the settings. One thing I shared in another video is if the indicator has all these lines and all this information up here, the way you can get rid of all that, because if you have a couple different indicators that has a lot of stuff, right click on your chart, go to settings, go to your status line, and just uncheck the arguments and values, and it'll eliminate all that stuff. So now to go into the input settings, obviously it's that gear icon. So here's the inputs. The first thing is the orb fibs. So what the orb fibs does is basically that's how I play the orb off of the 3-minute or 5-minute chart. If you want that to show, what you'll do is you'll check that here. Alright. So all your on off more or less check boxes are going to be in the upper part of your script, or the upper part of this inputs. So now to change the settings to the orb fibs, you're going to have to come down here to the orb settings. If you're on ES, you'll want to put 8:30. If you're on just a normal Eastern time zone ticker, then it'll be 9:30. So for me, how I play the 3-minute orb, I make sure that the market hour is set to 8, the market minutes set to 30, because I play futures mainly. And the display study, you want it at 8:33, and then you could put 8:45 or 8:50. It all depends. So what this will do is it's going to plot that your fib lines at that after the first candle. So if we come down here, we'll go to the replay. Let's go to 9:30. Switch it to the 3-minute chart. Wait for the indicator to load up here. Alright, it's loaded up. So when we play the first candle, that's your 9:30 candle. So the next candle, the fibs should print. So the fibs plot. And basically how I play this is, if it was to break, and you can see where the enter is, once it breaks above that point, I either have my order already set there, or that's when I'll make my entrance, and then it has take profits already. This is what I use to take my profits. And then vice versa on the flip side, if I was to enter here, once it pushes down to this area, that's the stop loss. That's for me to get out. And then if, for example, this candle here was printing, hasn't broken to the upside or downside, you can always switch to the 5-minute chart, and then it'll populate the fibs too for the 5-minute off of this first candle. So you can use that also. Now, after I'm done playing that, what I'll do is I'll go back into the settings and just shut them off. And that's why the orb is the very first thing to check, because that's the first thing I play for today. And it just makes it easier to come back in and uncheck it, or check it if it's not checked, to get in there for the orb play. So the next thing I want to show you guys would be the triple X. Well, let me go back to. It doesn't really matter what day we're at. I just want to get on a regular time frame. All right, here we go. What is this? 9:30. Scrunch this thing up. All right. So go back into settings or your inputs. And the next one down, it's the triple X. And what this is, it takes into account the first three MAs here. And it's basically the cross of those three MAs. So when the first MA crosses over top of the second and the third MA, it's going to plot a symbol for you. And I think this works even without the MAs checked. Yeah, so it has the X up, which means basically the 5, the 8, and the 13. The 5 went above the 8 and above the 13 at that point on that candle, and vice versa. Right here's down. Now, to get those MAs to show up, all you have to do is check on, the box right beside it. And then those MAs will actually plot on your chart. And as you can see, this is the cross up. Here's the cross down. And then you could change it to SMA if you're an SMA player, EMA, whatever you choose to. There's several different MAs in here you can choose from. And then the fourth one, it is set to base is 45, and that's only because if you play a 5-minute chart, I believe I have. Yeah, I got the higher time frame candles. So if you use the higher time frame candles, which on a 1-minute chart it shows a 5-minute, and I'll explain that. It will basically that becomes the 9 on the 5-minute overlays chart. But you have up to 4 different MAs you can plot. If you want this one to be VWAP, what you can do is come in here and hit volume weighted moving average, and then change this. I believe it's 250 maybe is normally what the VWAP is, and then that can be your VWAP line. I may go in and do some adjustment and just have 3 MAs and change this to VWAP. I don't know yet, but feedback would be good if that's something that would interest people. So that's how you get that triple X, where it'll tell you when it crosses to the upside or downside, and then your MAs on there. Obviously, you can shut those off. So next thing down here is your buy and sell signals. Now these are the settings. There's several different confluences that make this go off, and it's not just one thing. A couple things have to line up, but then it's going to throw you a long signal or a short signal. So obviously when it throws that signal, let me go back to the replay here. When it throws a signal, so here's a prime example, because I get asked a lot, why does it disappear sometimes and why doesn't it? So how this is set up is, as this candle's printing, once all the things are met for it to throw a signal, long or short, it's going to throw that signal as this candle's printing. Does that mean it's going to stay on there? No. So for example, it's saying go long, but say this candle starts pulling back and it nullifies one of the confluence that kicked off that signal, then that long will disappear on that specific candle. And as you can see, there's 2 entrances and 2 stop losses. That's because it's not locked in yet. So once this candle closes and the very next candle starts printing, that's when it'll lock it in if everything was in place. So as you can see, this candle start printing, it locks it in. Now your entry's here, where that green candle is, basically the close of the candle, and then your stop losses at the bottom, and your take profits are obviously up here. couple things I get asked a lot are, how can I, it's hit your take profit here. Why don't why doesn't it disappear? Well, because you still have these two other take profit areas that it can also hit. So that's why that stays plotted. And then once it hit those areas and close, as you can see, it changes it. So now it's going to be your take profit 3. They disappear. Yes, these are still on here. But as it moves on, eventually these will disappear. I better not go too fast because it's going to freeze up the indicator, I bet. So one thing to do if this bothers you, these take profits, is go into your settings and basically the first color square here, I usually just change that to 5%. And what that's going to do, that's basically going to get rid of those boxes. Once it loads up, you'll see it. It'll dim them pretty good. And it dims them all. So like here, it basically made them disappear. So if we go back over here to where it plots again. So we'll say you started at that 5%. You could see that the boxes are, more or less taken off of there. So all you see is the names. And the lines. So you could play it, they obviously hit. You'll see your take profit. Yeah, they do, like again, they still stay on there. But they're not those full boxes. So hopefully, that'll help for those people that say, hey, why do these stay on there? And it's, eventually they stay on until it throws another signal, so to speak. But that's what that setting does. That's how I usually have it, is with the boxes, the opacity down to almost nothing, just 5%. So your target method, best thing to do is to keep it at ATR, because if you turn that off, it's going to change the whole how this calculates. And for example, it's not going to basically throw a profit or a target profit for you. So it basically turns the whole thing off. And my indicator. And when you get this, say, because there's so much going on in this indicator that sometimes it times out, all you have to do is go back into the settings, turn on, basically check something on and check something off again, and then it's going to reload your indicator up. Why didn't it load it up? It's making me a liar. Usually I like clicking on the trend lines. That one seems to work the best for it. Nope, it's still... Target level's too small. Oh, I know why. The ATR, I got it off. You need to turn the ATR on. So I'm probably going to go back in and just leave the ATR on to where you can't adjust it, and that'll prevent that in case somebody switches that ATR. So that's your buy sell signals. Now down here, this is all part of your buy sell signals. So currently it's picked to user. And when it's picked to user here, you can adjust the signal sensitivity to determine how many or how often these signals are thrown. You could play with it, whether it's high or low. I can't really remember which one throws more signals. The 7 and 10 seems to be the best average with profitable signals, I guess. So that's why it's default. But you could change these to whatever you want to try to find the best setup for your specific ticker. But the user has to be on for these to actually register. Now, there's presets. You can go to scalping, and it doesn't matter what these two numbers are for your signal sensitivity and multiplier, and it's going to have a preset on there. Same thing with the momentum and swing. When any one of these three are on, then the signal sensitivity and multiplier doesn't matter. The only time the signal sensitivity and multiplier matter is when the user strategy is set to the user. Color theme, you could change, you'll see it'll change the signals just basically to different colors, schemes. A darker theme, a brighter theme, a bluish. But when you have the opacity turned down, it really doesn't matter for that. So that's your signals on there and how that works. You can turn them on or off. Just check it or uncheck it. Now, the next thing is the show to trend lines. That's more or less self-explanatory. You'll see the trend lines pop up here. And then if you scroll to the bottom, where's it at? Right here, your trend line settings. You can change the look back, like how many candles it's going to look back, the angle of the line, what it's looking for, and then the back test. What the back test does, if you check here, it says, why ain't highlighting it now? Backtest keeps previous lines on the chart longer. Disable backtest to see real-time information. So if you want it real-time, you keep that disabled. Again, you can change the look back of how many candles it takes into consideration before it plots the lines and the angle of the lines. Now the U, you'll see a U and a D. Basically, that means it breaks the trend line to the upside. It's pushing up, it broke that trend line to the upside. Pushing down, it breaks it to the downside. So that's what that U and D on the chart stand for. The breaking of the actual trend line. Show higher time frame candles. Now what this one does, this is how I have it set up, is for the 1 minute chart. And what it's going to do is it's going to show you the 5 minute overlay. Where are they at? Oh, I didn't check it. So when that's checked, and if you scroll down again here, basically on the 1 minute chart, it's showing you 5 minute candles. So that overlay is a 5 minute candle. If you switch to the 2 minute chart, it'll show you a 6 minute. You switch to the 3, it'll show you a 9. You switch to the 5, it'll be 15. If you switch to the 15 chart, it'll show you 30 minute overlays. So basically, like I was saying with the, let me switch this back to 45. So with that checked there, this is showing you that that's the 9 on the 5 minute chart. It's the 45 on the 1 minute chart, but it's actually the 9 on, if you're using these overlay candles, that's the 9 on the 5 minute chart. So if you play a 9-20 strategy, what you can do is you can have, this can be a 9, this can be your 20, and then on the 1 minute chart, basically you can play that 9-20 strategy with these overlay candles. So the green's the 9, the red's the 20, or the blue's the 20, and then you would play those off of the normal candles, and then this other orange line is basically the 9 on that 5 minute chart, which will be the overlay candles. So you can look and say, okay, it's above the 9. It just crossed below the 9 on the 5. So you can utilize it that way if you choose to play like that. Show possible reversals. So this here obviously is just going to plot where there's possible reversal points are. As you can see, it's a flame. That means that, shit, we're burning, we're going down. And a rocket, that means it's a possibility we're going to shoot back up. It's not, I won't say it's super accurate, but it just gives you a rough idea of, hey, this could be a possible reversal point. So just to be aware. Again, here we're in a downtrend. It fires off. It's continuing down. So it take it as what it is. It's just something I wanted to add to it. People ask me about having a possible reversal points on the chart. So that's what that does. Supply and demand, again, self-explanatory. It'll show you, it'll print or plot supply and demand zones. And obviously it'll tell you, because if you're like me, I don't know which one's which. It'll tell you, this is the supply zone up here. This is the demand zone. But it'll plot those for you. That way you don't have to try to plot them yourself. And you can adjust the opacity of them. You can adjust the box width if you want a bigger zone area or a smaller zone area. You can adjust that here also. The volume profile, it doesn't really show in replay. I don't think it shows at all in replay. But basically, that's going to show you the volume profile. So over here to the right side of the screen, it'll have the volume profile there with the POC. Which I think that's what this... Actually, what I could do is let me go live, and I'll show you. It should be on here live. So once that, there it is. So there's the volume profile. It shows, you got your white line, that's your POC, point of control, and then your volume profile here is what it'll show. You can uncheck that. I call them the Super Bollinger Bands. It's basically a modified version of the Bollinger Bands. And basically what this does, it plots the Bollinger Bands, but kind of color coordinated or color coded. Obviously, if it's a greenish band, it's in an upper trend, blue. It's kind of going sideways and possibly towards the downside whenever it's I think that's a grayish color maybe. Or no, here we go. It's reddish. And then I believe this is a 20 line on the Bollinger Band. Obviously you can see it's green. It turns to red, and the bands, are kind of reddish. So I just call it the Super Bollinger Band that's just what I call it. Now, along those lines, the reversal candles, it's all based off of the Bollinger Bands. So you'll see when they plot here, green obviously means you're in an uptrend. The white color means kind of sideways, and then obviously the red, you're in a downtrend. As you can see, this is a green candle. The overlay of that green candle or red candle is green, so even though it's green, it's in a downtrend. It's showing you red. That's why it's showing you red. And then there's reversals with the Bollinger Band too. And basically, how that works is, whenever we come into a stagnant area where it's all white, there'll probably be like a signal here. It's stagnant. Dynamite means we're going down. The shamrock, I think it's a shamrock or a clover, obviously means we're going up. just a couple different things that you can catch your eye to possibly, hey, we could reverse here or not. Let's see. You can adjust your fib targets here. Forgot to mention that. Your Bollinger Bands, so those, the Dynamite and the Shamrock, you could change that here. There's a bunch of different plots you can change on that. And then your reversals, you can change that down here too to something different if you choose to. And that's basically it for this indicator. It just shows, the buy sell, but it has a whole bunch of other stuff in it that, some people like. A lot of, some people use the trend lines. You can use it to plot that, the supply and demand zones. So that's the triple play. So let me go ahead and take that off. Now, the next one is going to be the Fibonator. Same thing, once you click on it, you have to hit the agree. The hell. You can tell I'm not a main YouTuber because I'm not going to be editing this shit out. So the Fibonator, basically, you come in here, show fibs. It's going to, let me turn that off. So the show fibs are going to plot fib lines for you. And right here where it says Fibonacci settings, this is where you'll set when the fibs are going to plot. So for example, if you're trading futures, I like to have it at 8:30 to 8:44. That means it's going to take into consideration the first 15 candles or the first 15 minutes of the opening before it plots the fibs. So it gives it a chance to actually move and give you the opportunity, to get more information before it'll plot the fibs. I'll just show that and explain it. But that's where you will set that here. It same thing with the triple play. It has show the orb fibs, and that's down here. So I don't have to go over that again, but it's basically right here's your settings, 8:30, like I said, 8:33. But you'll check that. And then this box here just basically gives you the color of that. The higher time frame candles, same thing. Check it here, and that plots those higher time frame candles on it. If you like to play an orb play that's more traditional, like a 30-minute orb or a 15-minute orb, with this one here, it'll plot lines for that specific, and then you can scroll down towards the bottom, and right here's your orb. If you want a 15-minute orb, you put it here. If you want a 30-minute orb, you'll set your settings here. Supply demand zone, demand supply has the same thing. I guess I got to switch that around on there. But check out, it's going to plot those for you. Moving averages, you'll click on this and it'll show you your moving averages. Again, you got 4 different moving averages. If you play crossovers with the moving averages, you can click on here and it'll show you the crossover. A double cross, what the double cross is, if you play a 920 cross, that means the candle crosses, if the 9's above the 20, it crosses from the upside to the downside. That means it crosses over the 9, crosses over the 20. That's considered a double cross to the downside. And then same thing to the upside. If the 9's below the 20 and it crosses to the upside, that's a double cross to the upside. This is part of one of the strategies one of the guys uses in the Discord. But you can click here. And same thing how I was explaining the other indicator with the 5-minute overlays. This third and fourth moving average, by default, it's set up to the 45 and 100. And what that does is basically that's the 920 on the 1 minute chart, but with the overlay candles, it's kind of showing you what it would be on the 5 minute chart. And then this one actually has VWAP separate. You could click on this and it'll show you the VWAP. So here, technically, you got 5 different MAs. Just one of them is a VWAP. So that's, and the triple, that's going to show you the same thing on the other, like the other indicator. But, it gives you a dot saying, hey, this is a cross up. Or cross down, wherever the cross downs, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it only gives you crosses up. That's good to know. I might have to adjust that indicator then. So back to the orb fibs. I'll explain how I play this for people. So and how the indicator works. So let's go to opening. Again, this is futures. You can use it on whatever chart. SPY. You just have to adjust the timing. All right, so right now for the futures, it's set for 8:30 to 8:44. So what that's going to do is it's not going to plot the fibs until 8:44. So, and it's going to start from the first candle to, that 8:44 candle, which will be right basically close to this 8:45 mark. So if you were plotting the fibs manually, what you would have to do is come into your fib tool and say, okay, I'm going to go from the low here, to that high point here. And then that would be your fibs plotted. What my indicator here does is the same exact thing at 9:40. So it's going to plot the same thing. So if this was me plotting these fibs, I would be drawing, because we're in an uptrend, I'd be plotting from the down here to this uptrend. And you can see they're exactly the same. And basically, is this indicator here, I added a bunch of stuff recently to it, but it was just these fibs and the overlay candles. And I wanted something that I didn't have to plot these fib points. It automatically would plot them for me. And this is what I come up with. So how I play it again is I use the overlay candles, which is the higher time frame candles. So I'm on the 1 minute chart, and those are 5 minute overlay candles. So what I look for, and I only play this, a play between the 0 line and the 50 line is what I'm looking for. And then these extensions up here. Now, the way the fib works is it won't replot the fibs traditionally. So if we break above this 0 line, instead of replotting the fibs to the close above that 0 line, it's going to wait for a break of this 272 and a close above it before it replots the fibs. Because this 272, 169, and 10%, these are just natural resistance, or if they're in the bottom, support areas. And how I play that is I look for a bounce off of these back to this 236 area. So for example, right now, for me, to look for a trade here, this is a 5 minute overlays closed. It closed below the 236 line. So that could be an opportunity to the downside to play for a 50 line hit. So you can have an entrance here. Once it breaks to the downside, make your entrance to the 50 line hit, or a break to the upside for a 0 line hit. So regardless which way it goes, you can choose to say, okay, if we break to the upside, I'm going to go ahead and get in, or to the downside, I'm going to get in. Normally, I don't get in right away when the fibs just plot. I let it breathe a little bit to find out, okay, again, let me see what kind of direction this market's going. But if you choose to be really aggressive, what I'm saying is you can more or less enter here to the upside if it breaks, enter here to the downside to that 50 line. So either way, you can plot whichever way you want to go. This, obviously broke to the upside. You could play that to the 0 line. If it breaks to the downside, which it kind of did a little bit, you could play to that 50 line. So there, pushes up, hits that 0 line. If you enter here, how I like to use the fibs will be my stop loss. I use the fibs for that. But like I said, normally I just let it breathe to see where this is going whenever they first print. So I'll watch it. And, here it breaks down. I'm not a big, these are almost doji candles. So I like a bigger body before I play it. Same thing though, this you could have played it to the downside off of this, but I didn't. This is Friday, or no, this is Monday today. It was a choppy kind of morning, so I didn't play this. I was just watching them and see, hey, what's going on. Now, once we hit these extensions, now this is what I really like to play. I'm more of a counter trend trader. This is pushing to the upside, but once it hits these extensions, I'm looking for a pushback down to this 236. It almost always, if we can't break above this 272, it almost always pulls back to this 236 area. And as you can see, boom, it pulls back to that 236, bouncing off of these extensions. A couple ways you could play that would be, I like to use a 2 red candle rule. So for example, it bounced off these extensions, couldn't push up. There's 1 red candle. When this other candle breaks below this previous candle, obviously turned red, that's your entrance point. Granted, that's not a huge target, would be the 236, but what you can do is trail it. Once it breaks that 236, that becomes your stop loss. It pushes down lower, and how I like to play it is usually I'll go to the next fib point. Since it didn't hit the fib point there, you can split the difference if you want to try to maximize your profits, or just let it play out and keep your stop loss up here. It pushes down, breaks at 382. That 382 becomes your new stop loss, and use each fib point as a stop loss. But that's how I play this indicator. This is usually all I have on the chart. I don't use moving averages or anything. I just use these 5-minute overlays plus the fibs. And then just play, I love these extension plays here. You can see it's hitting the extensions here. We'll see if it can break up or not. Again, it didn't break up. Here, again, if you wanted to be aggressive, you could play the 2 red candles, comes down, pushes down, hits that 236, and pushes back up. Normally what I'll do is, if I do the 2 red, there's 1 red candle, there's a 2nd red candle. If that was the entrance, my stop loss probably would be either above that high wick there or even above that 272 line. Because I know what can happen is it can touch this 272 line, but then continue back to the downside. But there's the target. That 236 area is a target. Here's another one. Boom, boom. There's your entrance again. Same thing. Looking for that 236 hit. Pulls right down to it. Now it pushes back up. Again, breaks back down off of there. Couldn't close above this 272 area. And let me show you guys something too. Let me pull this back. because I buzzed through it so quick. So remember how I said that the fibs don't replot until it breaks. So I'm not sure if TradingView is going to show it or if it moves too fast. You'll see if the fibs will plot here. Nah, it didn't do it. Normally, like when this candle initially broke up here, this fib line would have, the zero line would have moved up to where it was. And then when it ended up closing back down below it, it would pull back down and replot down below it like it did. But again, here's an extension. It tried to break. It couldn't. That could be your entrance there. One red candle, second red candle breaks that first one. Boom. Make your entrance. If, again, the 236 would be my target, but you can, trail it. Here. Right above that 272 could be your, stop loss if you didn't trail it. Comes down, hits that 236 again. Boom. I love these extension plays. Now there, see how it broke. Let me go back. And we'll do it candle by candle. So here's your first candle. Now this second candle breaks and closes above this 272, and you'll see the zero line will then replot to the close of that candle. So this candle here broke that 272. Now it replotted. So that's how these fibs are set up to replot. That when it breaks that 272, it's going to replot those fibs. Again, pushed up, broke above that 272. So the fibs end up replotting. And then you could play it the same way. Pushed up, hits these extensions. Look for two red candles. There we go. Boom, boom. Make your entrance. Here, it didn't hit the 236. Again, the stop loss could be above, either above the 169 or that 272. And as you can see, boom, it comes back down. So literally all day long you could play this. And then like down here, for example, extension. I don't just play these extensions. I'll play the 50 line to the 0 line. So for me, I'll wait for a 5-minute overlay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Give me one more candle. So that's a 5-minute overlay. A break above that, I would look for a 236 hit. You can have your stop loss on that down here, below that. Pushes up, that one would have stopped me out. Come up, that would have bought me in. Pull back down, that would have stopped me out. And actually, that would have been it. Now this one, same thing. It's down here. I don't trade below that. I wait to see if it's going to break back above. There. Would have bought you in. Down here, almost stopped you out. There's your 236 hit, and then some. So that one would have paid off. But that's basically how I trade them. I look for that 5-minute overlay, and anywhere in between the 50 line and the 0 line, I would look for it to hit. This, it's kind of doji-ish, so I probably wouldn't play it. Hatton there, it's semi-doji-ish. You could get in here to the downside. Look for a 50 line hit. You can always move your stop loss down. Like right now, your stop loss would be at 382. And then you get stopped out, but you'd make some profit. And then here to the upside, you can play, hey, if we break above this wick here, you want to play up to that 0 line. So broke there, your stop loss could be below this fib line here or these candles over here. play up to that zero line. It almost hit there. Again, you can drag your stop loss up if you want to maximize profit, or you want it down here and you want it to hit that zero line, you wait until it hits it then. Like right there would be your profit target right there. But that's how I would play the Fibonator with the strategy that I use. All right. And then the last indicator I'll go over is the AD. So I read a book called Mastering the Trade by John Carter. In that book, he talks about the tick. And when the tick's extreme, like 1,000 or minus 1,000, you can possibly expect pullbacks from it, unless it's continuation to the upside. So if you see repeated 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, something's moving the market in that direction. Well, this indicator, what it'll do is, and I'm not sure if this day would fare. Trying to see, because it doesn't work after hours. There we go. So when the tick, like here, it's minus 1,000, it's saying buy the tick. And what it means is, this is pulling down. When it fires off like that, you can get a call anticipating some form of a pullback. And I'm not talking a huge pullback. I'm just talking like a 1 to 2 ticks or 1 to 2 point movement. So it's not like it's a home run hit. It hits, you get in for a quick scalp. This one hits, you get in for basically that pullback. This one hits, you get in for that pullback. Obviously, it continues up. You could stay in it and drag your stop loss. So that's how what that tick is doing. And the rest of these indicators are basically, you can have it set up whatever you want. We trade SPY in our Discord, and the link will be in the description below. If you're interested in coming and check out the Discord, it's free for a week. If you like it, by all means, join us. If not, you're more than welcome to stay. You just get less content for non-members. But basically what this does is, with SPY, SPY kind of follows the Qs and the ADD. And whenever these are green, that's saying on the 1 minute, which in here you could change it to the 1 minute, 5 minute, or however many minutes you want. But what it does is, on this particular candle, or on this particular time frame, where we at? Again, this doesn't work over after hours, because I don't believe the tick and the ADD work in after hours. I guess I should just click on reset chart view and it'll pull me back. There we go. So right now on this candle here, these all are green. So if you're playing the SPY, for example, or even ES, because the ES and SPY work almost hand in hand, these are all green. That's showing you, hey, there's a good possibility we could push to the upside, because all these other confluences. Of course, the SPY 1 minute and SPY 5 minute are showing that, hey, it's green too. But as you can see, it pushed up there. So you can use that as confluence. Again, it's now the tick, when the tick goes above, I believe when it's above 500, it'll turn green. Let's see here. Or is it 1,000? I'm just looking to see when the tick, if it's going to be 400 was close. Oh, there it was 500, but it didn't change color. So the tick basically is only set up for once it hits the plus or minus 1,000. That's when it'll change its color. But you can go into the settings again and change the up and down. If you want a Christmas tree, it's Christmas time. I added a Christmas tree. If it's on an uptrend, the Christmas tree. You got fire, you got dynamite, you got a red teardrop. For a downside, you can change it. It's just cosmetic stuff you can change. And then, the orb here. This is a 15-minute orb, or you can change it at any time frame. It doesn't plot the fibs, it just plots lines on that, 15-minute warp time frame. And then you can move this. It doesn't have to be there. It can be top center. It's obviously going to move it up to the top center. And you can move that around the chart. It gives you options to move that around your chart. So that's that indicator. That's all three of them. Hopefully this helps for those who got the indicator or trying the indicator out. If you're interested in possibly, these indicators, again, you could join our Discord, Trading Decoded. It's going to be in the description below. It's free to all members of the Discord. These indicators are free. If you're not a member of the Discord and you don't want to become a member and you still want access to these indicators, I do offer two different options. You can either do a monthly subscription to them, which will be $10 a month, or you could do a lifetime access, which would be $50, one-time fee, and it gives you access to these indicators, any updates I do to them, and any other indicators that I put out. Not saying I'm an indicator guy that throws out a bunch of them, although some people in the Discord might beg to differ, because I do have several other indicators I didn't go over. But the $50 gives you access to all the indicators I do. It's up to you. Hopefully we'll see you in the Discord. You're more welcome, like I said, to come join, check us out. It's a really good Discord. Jimmy, he's the lead of the Discord. He's the one who created the Discord. He has a YouTube channel. Look it up, Trading Decoded. He does daily 9 o'clock to 4 p.m. to where he is in chat. He talks about the chart. He talks about, good possibilities of, what he sees that, his supply demand. He trades by, or not supply demand, he trades by support resistance. And he does a great job in there talking about it. Now, he doesn't call out and he doesn't say, hey, get in the trade now. It's not a call out service, but he just talks about the chart and possibilities of, hey, if it reaches this point, there's a good possibility we may continue up. I wouldn't be taking, calls unless we hit a certain area or puts. So he does a great job. Again, you should come check us out. It's free for a week. You could jump into the chat, listen to him, and if you like it, by all means, join. Again, if you don't, you're welcome to stay as a free member. You just get don't have access to Jimmy live, and you get there's some channels open to free members that you can have. And that's all I got for you. Any questions, please comment below, and I'll try to get back to you as quickly as I can. Other than that, you all have a good one, and be safe trading and get that green.